All right, everyone, welcome back into another props video. We're going to be touching on the top prop bets for this Thursday. We got some NBA back, we got some NFL, Thursday Night Football, a little bit of college football, and some good NHL props. Actually, I'm going to start out with the NHL props after I get into the quick recap of yesterday. And so just real quickly, a recap from yesterday's slip. This one went 50%. The other two, and I'll show you guys, that went 3 for 5. I want to call this out. This is why I like going with fantasy score over points, rebounds, and assists. The issue with that is obviously Prize Picks underdog. They come without that prop later on in the day, and sometimes those props will then get bumped up throughout the day, and then the fantasy score prop will not be as nice as a prop as we would have previously thought. He ended up kind of crushing his over for fantasy score, so that's why I wanted to bring that up. We look at the 3 that hit. They really hit with ease. I mean, these were sweat free. I kind of thought that these 3 would be kind of the best ones. I felt like Detroit's props were extremely low, and I was very confused by it. PJ Washington continued his dominance from last season. That was awesome to see. He got a lot of minutes. And then talking about 2 players that didn't get as many minutes. Portland, because the game sucked. Really, just the Trailblazers did not show up. Jakob Poeltl, it was interesting. He did not close out the game, either in the first half or the second half. So kind of interesting in that regard. And then I gave out kind of 2 versions of this slip that ended up going 3 for 5. We'll take that. DeJounte Murray just had himself a bad game. That's going to happen. Had a cold night shooting. The one that really was alarming to me was actually Spencer Dinwiddie, guys. Spencer Dinwiddie really seemed to have a reduced role. That was one where I felt like I actually missed it personally. Data really liked it. And actually, if you guys see this, you can tell for the most part, my takes did better more so than Vegas did, which is a trend that happens early on in the NBA season. I'll show you guys another screenshot here before we get into the picks. And I apologize, a little bit too much fluff, but just want to echo this sentiment that early season stuff, you can be better than Vegas, and then it kind of shifts midseason. So I bring that up because in NBA DFS, I kind of gave out a preview lineup, and it was along these lines. Pure domination there, guys. And Jalen Duren was really low owned. Jeremy Sochan was someone I got on as the day progressed, but that's what I'm saying. There's a lot of low ownership here, some chalk, but that's my point, is we can typically gain a little bit more of an edge personally with our personal takes rather than Vegas all the time. So now I want to go ahead and start this video with some really good EV bets that we are getting. One, I've already made this bet for under shots on goal here. Another one that I've already made for under shots on goal here. So if these bets are going to be ones that are available, guys, it's a pretty nice start for NHL. And I don't know if it's because NBA is back, we got NFL. Typically speaking, these lines are not here when I do my morning video, and I expect them to get bumped. If they don't get bumped, take advantage of those props, because obviously these are really strong, good EV bets, 55% chance for those to hit. We love that. And then I do want to get into some NBA. We have a few good EV bets there, both of them with Maxey for points. If you want to roll with over points, 21.5 is the line. He's projected to get a little bit lower than that, but we can see Vegas is kind of saying no. He's going to get around 22.3, and he still has a good chance to go over that line as well. So that seemingly is a good one. But if you want to go points, rebounds, and assists, you could roll with that one as well. That's another one that I really like. And then Taurean Prince, I don't know if he's going to be as hot as he was in the opening night, but he's been hot in the preseason as well. So he's been someone that has been crushing. I do want to touch on these two, specifically Maxey, because when we look at the starting lineups tonight for Philly, and I'll start with that, we can see that James Harden is ruled out. Okay, so then when we go ahead and look at their usage rate from last year, Maxey was the one that definitely benefited the most. And so his lines will probably get bumped a little bit throughout the day, maybe to 22 points. This will probably get bumped a full point. And also he's probably someone we can look at for fantasy score, because when we look at that per 36 production, we're going to see 26.4 points, 3.7 rebounds. He's basically already there, right? You toss in a few more assists, and he is there. Now, yes, it's a different team, kind of different structure. Kelly Oubre's there and whatnot, but we typically don't see that change too much for a player. So Maxey is someone that, in the playoffs, we get a bunch of minutes, 40 minutes. We don't expect that to continue, but he could easily get 36, 37, 38 minutes, and, that wouldn't be shocking either. And strangely enough, going against Milwaukee now, with maybe Beasley's going to be covering him, that's probably what's going to occur, but maybe Damian Lillard covers him, who is obviously much more of an offensive threat than a defensive threat like Jrue Holiday once was for the Bucks. So it seemingly is a good prop regardless of what it comes out to be. And then also, you could be looking at fantasy score there. I do want to mention Taurean Prince. Guys, I don't think that this is going to continue for him. He has been someone that has been shooting the basketball a bunch, especially during the preseason and whatnot. And they don't have the data pulled up from the last game. He got the over points. He's been kind of crushing it, and he's just been hot shooting the basketball. Like, eventually that's going to come down. If you just want to ride the hot hand with him, you definitely can. This is actually one of the better EV bets, as we saw. And then I really just want to break down the props that we currently have available. I like to look at points, rebounds, and assists just to kind of give us a good basis of maybe where we could pivot if we want to go points, rebounds, assists, whatnot, fantasy score, that stuff. The first lines that really stood out to me, other than Maxey, and we can see that's been bumped since I started this video, was Brook Lopez and also Chris Middleton, guys. Those are two very low lines, and even Tobias Harris at 23.5 is a very low line. And I say that because we look at Tobias Harris production with Harden off the court. It gets a little bit of a bump in rebounds, points as well, and assists. Like, he's someone that could easily get the over there as well. Like, I don't know, I feel like these lines are low, and I feel like we have a decent chance to game stack this game. Chris Middleton at 20.5 for points, rebounds, and assists. That's strange. I know Damian Lillard's going to soak up a bunch of usage. We know that. But at the same time, Brook Lopez, Chris Middleton, these are two really good NBA players as well. It's just they're so low of lines for those two. Like, if we look at Brook Lopez here, he was someone that in the preseason they didn't give their starters that many minutes, and so if he gets his full allotment of minutes, I think he gets this over pretty easily. So that's a weird one to me. Maybe he could get into foul trouble going against Embiid. And then you look at Chris Middleton, we haven't seen him too much. That's the worry. His minutes could be potentially limited as well. He might not get 36 minutes or so, but he is someone that I don't know. I'm very shocked at this one, and I'll pull them up on DraftKings just so we can see it a little bit easier. We can see Chris Middleton, basically average that total in his rebounds and points per game last season. You add on 5 assists right there. So that one seems to be a good value to me. Then we look at Brook Lopez as well. Not the best matchup, but once again, in there for his points and rebounds, and then also assists per game. Now, I know a lot of people are saying, well, that's because Damian Lillard's there. It's going to be a high usage rate player. They're not going to be as productive. Probably true. At the same time, I would say both of those props are probably too under what they should be. And so I think I'm fine betting the over, and I'm actually fine probably stacking this game. If we want to go Middleton over, we want to go Tobias Harris over, Brook Lopez over, Maxey over, I'm fine with that. That's kind of a sneaky secondary player game stack that I like there. And then also, guys, do want to call out for the Phoenix Suns. They're going to be without Bradley Beal most likely, and also Devin Booker. Those are two players that are projected to be out. Now, the sample that we have for the usage rate, it's going to be a little bit different. I'm pulling out Devin Booker and Chris Paul as Bradley Beal. It sucks. This is not a good sample. We do see Kevin Durant really just dominate during that sample, though. 40 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, really went off during that, and that's his per 36 production. The other one was DeAndre Ayton. He definitely saw a bump in his production as well with those players, those high usage rate players off the court. And so that's going to be Jusuf Nurkic in this game. And so Kevin Durant, would it be shocking to see him get this over? It would not. Now, he did kind of struggle, took a backseat role in that first game against the Golden State Warriors. We don't expect that to continue. The issue with playing someone where a majority of their production comes from shot attempts is that when they're cold, like DeJounte Murray last night, they're not going to get there. It's going to be bad. And that honestly might have been the case with Dinwiddie as well. Maybe it was just off shooting, and that's why we just didn't see him shoot. Tough to know. It's the first game, right? And then Jusuf Nurkic, the kind of easy play from the last slate, might be easy again. You always worry a little bit about foul trouble going against another good big in Anthony Davis, but I think he's going to be fine. 25.5 does seem to be pretty low, especially if those players are indeed ruled out. I do expect if those players are officially ruled out, we could see these lines bump slightly. And then for what it's worth, we probably will see Josh Okogie start along with Goodwin. Goodwin is someone that does get shot attempts up. He can be productive in a limited role, but if he's starting, I could see maybe betting his over points, depending on what that line is. We'll see. That kind of let's bring up the promo here. Currently on the 95sports.com website, this offer is going to be valid until 10/30, so a few more days left. You get 50% off your first month 95 membership. This is going to be available for new members only. Use the promo code NBA to get 50% off. And I wanted to bring that up because this tool will be updating throughout the day. Once those props come in for those other players, we'll be able to see if we are getting good props or not on those. I do want to move on into some football, though. Okay, so let's start out with the NFL. So here's kind of an interesting line for Gabe Davis. So we can see the average sportsbook line has his receptions prop set at 2.8, which they are favoring the under there. Okay. PrizePicks still has the line set at 3. And so that could be a situation where we are betting the under. Desmond Ritter is one that's popping up for the main slate. If you guys want to bet the over there, that's basically telling me that's going to be a push. You look at the NHL shots on goal where it's bumped to 1.5 or whatever, and the line's set at 1. That's basically telling me this is going to be a push. But let's look at the other ones that we have. Rashad White. And this one I find to be extremely fascinating, guys. We look at what happened last week for the Bills. The Patriots, who had been a team that struggled with their O-line, they did get someone back healthy, but they were really able to establish a push against that Buffalo Bills defense, who is pretty banged up. And so I know the data is telling us to bet the under rush yards here, and that probably is going to be the correct move, but it feels to me like one that we should be staying away from, simply given the fact that Zeke and Stevenson both looked good last week. So I don't know. I'm kind of very hesitant about that one. I think I'd rather go with we kind of have a stacking opportunity here. We got Chris Godwin for over his receiving yards, seemingly a good prop. Vegas has it set at 55. Projection data has it set at 57.5. So at 54.5, that's seemingly a pretty good one. And then same thing for Mike Evans. We are getting 2 slight edges there. We can see Underdog has already bumped a Mike Evans prop to 58.5, so I like that. And then the way you could stack is by going Baker Mayfield for over his fantasy score. I worry about that. Baker has really struggled to me. At the same time, he's kind of been figuring out ways to do it. And if we're going with the over for Chris Godwin for Mike Evans, then we got to be doing that as well. And then for what's worth, guys, not getting any great props for college football. And then just pulling up some underdog props here. Josh Allen actually under fantasy score is one that's popping up, one that I'm going to be staying away from. Full disclosure there, I don't love that. And then just real quickly as well, I was showing you guys some underdog bets that we have. So Giannis at 16.5 points and rebounds is seemingly a good prop for you guys to bet the over on, especially compared to PrizePicks and the average Vegas line. Brook Lopez for under 13.5 points. We can see Vegas is telling us to bet the under there. We can see PrizePicks has already bumped that a little bit lower. So 2 decent bets there. I would say there's a little bit of correlation there. So, we can rock with those ones if you guys choose to do so. I don't know. I'm kind of iffy about that. So let's go ahead and just show you guys the bet of the day. And so, guys, the issue that I'm going to face today is I'm going to show you guys like 3 different slips. It's kind of for you guys to decide which prop bets you personally like the most as well. I probably will be counting these all in the description below for the bet of the day. Actually, I will be definitive with that. So we'll see. Obviously, probably going to take a dip in the, 350 or so units that were up by putting out 3 6 slip bets, but it is what it is. Like, I do think that there's a very good stacking opportunity here, even though I thought Baker looked bad. That Buffalo's defense looked bad as well. You can compare Baker and Mac Jones pretty evenly, I would say, and Mac Jones had himself a good game. And then we are taking the 2 kind of hockey props that were good EV bets, 55% chance for those both to hit, and then Maxey as well. This line did adjust during this video from 29.5 to 30.5. I still think it's a good line with James Harden out. We have seen his usage rate in the past be very high. Now, a little bit different system. They have other players there that maybe now are going to soak up some use, but I don't see that. And then another way you could kind of game stack as well, I don't mind the stack. You got Baker Mayfield as well, the Chris Godwin. Those are 2 still good ones. And then we roll with the 2 bets that I don't mind. Once again, this is more the per 36 production with James Harden off the court last year. We saw these 2 both got a significant boost. Now, if we just take their points and rebounds on average, they should be able to get the over. You add in a few more assists to them, it's seemingly a good prop. And then to me, I will say one of these will probably cash. I don't know if both of them will cash. Really depends on Damian Lillard or Giannis. If one of them struggle, then they both have a good chance to get the over there. You never know for sure, but these are 2 lines that do seem to be too low. I feel like this should be at 22.5 for Milton. This should be at 22 for Brook Lopez. Just because on the season last year, I know Drew Holiday's a different player. Don't get me wrong there. Beasley's there, who's actually not a terrible player as well. I think his points and rebounds was one that was pretty low for Beasley. He's someone that could step up into a bigger role, but I don't think their production is going to fall off that much, and they might get unique with how they can, have their rotations as well. And if we just look at their per 36 production, and that's the biggest question mark for Chris Middleton. Like, if you're worried about that, him coming off of injury and you don't want to use him, I get that. Brook Lopez is probably safer, but their per 36 production through the preseason would suggest that they would be able to crush this over. And then lastly, looking at my favorite kind of NBA bet as it sits right now, remember, I like to chase the fantasy score props. We haven't got those just yet today. These are all probably players, especially like Brook, Yusuf, where they can get a block or a steal. Probably would want to do that. We'll see where those lines come out. These are all seemingly good ones. Once again, if you wanted to make this a 4 slip bet, you could easily just cross off Chris Middleton because we can't exactly bank on his minutes being there. But that's going to be all for this video. Make sure to hit the subscribe bell and the notification bell, as well as the like button. I've appreciated the likes lately, but that notification bell is huge because I do tend to start out these videos with the good EV bets, and if you guys can get those in before they get bumped, that's going to be successful in the long term, and that's why I like to start out with those. If you guys want access to any of the cheat sheet tools that I showed you guys in this, the Prize Picks Underdog cheat sheet for whichever sport, it is available for $10 a month, but if you use that promo code NBA, if you're a new member, you get 50% off, so $5 a month. That's all. Let's have a good slate, and as always, let's keep cashing.